Assembling the ModelRockets.us Tooboh kit. In the ModelRockets.us Tooboh kit, you'll have a set of instructions, a body tube, you'll have fin tubes, and a package containing small parts. Open the small package and remove the contents. You'll see there's a set of decals, a nose cone thrust ring, a motor spacer tube, your shock cord, launch lug, tape discs, and a streamer. Take your shock cord set and take one end of the white elastic shock cord and the end of the yellow Kevlar shock cord and pinch them together and tie them with one overhand loop knot. Pull them tight till they're like so. Your thrust ring has a groove already cut in it for the shock cord, so we'll pass the shock cord through and we're going to tie an overhand knot twice. Just like so. Now we'll pull the shock cord right into the groove on the ring. The body tube is already pre-marked for the launch lug location here, and there's a line around the tube. These are pre-laser etched into the tubes, so you don't need a ruler, pencil, or a knife to do any of the ModelRockets.us kits. This end of the tube is our engine end of the tube, so our thrust ring will go inside this end. Take your motor spacer tube, and you'll notice also there's a mark around the perimeter of the tube about a 1/4 inch in from the end of the tube. This is used to push the thrust ring into the tube until the depth is reached 1/4 of an inch away from the bottom of the white body tube. Take the tube and your glue and put a bead of glue about 1.5 inches in the end of the tube, 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and roll your tube until you have a bead of glue inside all around the tube. Take your shock cord and pass it through your thrust ring on the same size as the knot was pulled to, and also take this and pass it through your motor spacer tube on the end, this end opposite the marked end, and pinch the two together. Pinch the two together like so, with the knot on the end opposite the tube, this motor spacer tube, and opposite the end of the mark on the tube. Now slide in your thrust ring and push your motor spacer tube all the way in until the mark indicating that it's 1/4 inch out of the white tube is reached. Then pull it out immediately before the glue has a chance to grab the motor spacer tube. The motor spacer tube is no longer needed, and you can set this aside or throw it away. Take your launch lug and take your glue and put a thin bead of glue on the body tube where the launch lug lines are marked. Like so. Put your launch lug on the glue, line it up with the marks squarely on the tube and flush with the line around the perimeter of the tube. And we'll set this aside to dry. One way to ensure that this stays square, this launch lug and the tube are lined up, is to lay them down and push them down onto the table surface together so they're both flat on the table surface. We're going to make our fin tubes. There should be 5 fin tubes or more in the kit. Only 5 are used. We're going to use 2 pairs plus a single tube. So we'll pull these apart. There's the first pair. There's the second pair. And then 1 more tube. The other's not needed. Take your glue, put a thin bead of glue along the length of the tube, and put the tubes together with the glue touching, and set them flat on the surface of the table. That makes sure the tubes are lined and square with each other in the same center line. Do the same with the other tube pair. And then this tube is the final fill-in tube, and there is no pair here. And we'll set these aside to dry for a little while as well. Now that the body tube and the launch lug have a chance to dry, take your shock cord, pass it through the bottom of your tube, and pull it through to the front side, like so. Your streamer has a hole punched in one end. Peel off your first tape disc and apply it over the hole on the end of the streamer. Flip it over, take your second tape disc and apply it lined up with the first tape disc so that there's a hole all the way through, like so. Now take the white end of your shock cord and we'll pass it through the streamer, pull it through, and pull it all the way down to the nut. Now let's take and attach our nose cone. Take the nose cone and tie the end of the white shock cord to the nose cone with a knot and then a second knot. Check that it's tight by pulling it. Take your streamer and fold it once, twice, and 3 times, then roll it up tightly. We're going to insert it in the tube. Normally you would put parachute wadding when you're ready to fly in first and then your streamer. But for assembly, we'll just put the streamer in to get it out of the way. So push it in, and then your shock cord. And then put the nose cone inside your body tube. Now that the fin tubes have had a chance to dry, we're going to attach them to the body tube. We'll take one tube fin pair and we'll put a bead of glue inside towards the center line of both tubes, about a 1/2 inch apart. Okay, just off the center line here to this side towards the inside. That's where it will touch the main body tube. Then take your body tube and on the side of the launch lug put about 1 inch of glue along the side of the launch lug, and then take your first tube pair and attach it to the tube against the launch lug and against the body tube, and check to see that it is aligned with the marks on the back end of the tube. Now we'll take our second tube pair and do the same. Apply some glue. But on this tube pair we're going to add another line of glue just off to the side here, so that you see we've got glue here and here to attach the body tube, and then this glue will attach to the first tube fin pair. When you attach the second tube pair, touch the first tube pair with the glue first and then roll down onto the surface and line up with the line around the perimeter of the tube. The last tube will attach to the launch lug, to the second tube pair about here, and also on the tube itself about here. And then attach the last tube. All tubes should be touching each other and the body tube, except for the two tubes in between the launch lug. There'll be a gap there. But it should be touching the launch lug. And check the alignment so they're lined up around the perimeter. And there, if you want to decorate it using the decals, you can do so after the glue is dry. The glue should be dry in about 15 minutes, enough to actually decorate this model or to fly it.